Welcome to the Mindfully Masculine podcast. This is Charles. All right, in this week's episode, Dan and I will continue discussing The Man's Guide to Women, written by the Gottmans. And topics covered this time include pheromones and attraction, differences in male and female sensory perception, the importance of the first kiss, navigating signals and consent, oral hygiene and preparation for intimacy, confidence and alcohol's role in dating, techniques for kissing and building anticipation, and communicating preferences in relationships. This is a short one. We recorded it the day after the presidential election, so I cut out quite a bit of the opinionating done mostly by me, just to focus more on the important content that we're trying to get across. But I'm sure a little bit of it will bleed through in this and future episodes if you want to know our opinions on politics. So look forward to that. Thanks very much. Check out mindfullymasculine.com and enjoy the episode.
Good morning, Charles.
Hello there, Dan. How are you?
I am doing great.
Excellent. It's been a busy week, and today's just Wednesday. Last night was election night, and I guess one of my biggest concerns was that it was going to go many days, weeks, or months before we had an answer. And
I was surprised that didn't happen also.
That did not happen.
Yeah.
By
even a day. That's crazy. It was decided
8:30. There were some people who were like, I think we know how this is going. And certainly by 11:30, 12 o'clock, it was like, okay, this is over. And so I may or may not share some additional thoughts in a future recording about how it went and what the implications are for the kinds of things we like to talk about. Relationships, masculinity, things like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's talk about the next chapter in our book, The Man's Guide to Women. Chapter number 5 is a whole new section called Romancing a Woman.
Mm-hmm.
And the first chapter of this is making your move, how to make a move on a lady that you're interested in. We start the conversation off with a discussion about pheromones, and I feel like this is something that is interesting to know, but not necessarily something to strategize about. When it comes to how you smell and what your smell does to attract or not attract other women, I would say the main thing to shoot for is don't smell bad and don't smell overly artificial.
Mm-hmm.
So don't neglect keeping your body clean and smelling like soap, and don't bathe in cheap aftershaves and body sprays that will overpower any of your natural scent that you might be giving off. Those would be my 2 rules of thumb.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be stinky, and don't be stinky by either way.
Yeah.
Don't be stinky by your own natural odors that you don't take care to wash and disguise, but also don't be stinky by buying something in a bottle and cover yourself in it.
Yeah. So something I learned from this chapter was that, and I already knew this about myself because I don't have a great sense of smell or great sense of taste.
You sure don't.
Yeah, clearly.
So the stuff you're willing to eat in interest of your diabetes and your physical health.
I thought you were going to talk about my decorating of the house, my tastes, right?
Let me miss that one. Come on now, your literal taste. No, I have no problem with how you furnish your house, but yeah, you're able to just decide some stuff is good for you, so you just eat it, and I can't do that.
No, I get that, and but one of the things he mentions is that women have an enhanced sense of smell, and what I think he said he linked that to their higher levels of estrogen than men. Even if you don't think you're stinky, you're like, oh, I just went to the gym and I don't smell anything. Play it safe. Take a shower. I remember I was back in college. I was listening to a personal development guy, guru about dating and things like that. Mm-hmm. And what he recommended was take a shower and wash yourself with soap 3 times before you go out on a date because the woman will smell you. Yeah. And he goes, soap yourself up, wash off 3 times. I'll never forget that. I was just like, that seems excessive, but
that's tough because I not recommend doing that with the cheapest soap you can buy.
Yeah.
I think that would end up drying out your skin. Right. And the one distinction I do want to draw, and I've heard this from multiple women too, there is a difference in a man who was sweaty recently and a man who was sweaty a while ago, and then the sweat dried on you, and then the bacteria started to feed off
That
it.
makes sense.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you were sweaty very recently, like when you just walk in the door from being in the gym or working outside, you're not going to smell as bad as if you just park it on the couch and watch a movie and try to cool down from the hot weather outside. And then that sweat evaporates and just leaves the stinky stuff behind.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah. So I'm guessing the pheromones are coming out with the initial sweat. And then now it's the bacteria and everything else.
And the sweat is gone. The water's gone. And
The romance is gone.
And yeah, the stinky bacteria is what remains, and the gases they give off from eating your dried sweat. That's the thing. I would say, recently sweaty is not nearly as bad as sweaty a while ago.
Yeah.
But it does make sense. And I would say, again, dousing yourself with a body spray or a deodorant or a cologne, that's another way to prevent the natural pheromones from coming through. And women do use those pheromones to evaluate somebody that would be a good match for them. And I like the example he gave of a girl could think that her brother is super stinky, where the girlfriend of the brother might love the way he smells. And it's because that's a disincentive for brothers and sisters to make babies together, to say, okay, we're too genetically similar, so I'm not going to like the way he smells.
Yeah.
And most girls I know who have brothers, especially younger brothers, they always complain about how stinky they are.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's interesting to know that that's where it comes from.
Yeah.
Okay. So next, he talks about the importance of the first kiss that you have with a woman. And he goes through a pretty good instruction set of how to handle that first kiss, like some actual techniques and stuff that I don't really want to get into because it did go on a little long for me. And I don't want to just sit here talking about how boys should kiss girls for an hour.
I do. So let's get into it. No, what was interesting, I thought, with the first kisses, he did preface this with how much of an important memory this is for the woman, more so than losing their virginity. This was crazy.
Yes.
More than losing her virginity, it was more than a lot of other memories. He said, even years down the road, he said, women can remember with 90% accuracy, everything that
the time, place, the smells, all that stuff.
And thinking back with my first kisses, I don't remember quite as clearly. I couldn't say 90%, but it did have a pretty significant impact on my emotions at the time. And so that helped seed that memory in my brain a little bit more than other times. Like I know exactly with my current girlfriend, exactly where it happened, when it happened, how she looked, how it happened.
Yeah, same.
And part of that might have been because there were it didn't happen until like the third date. And so there were some opportunities is this the right moment? And so for those first 3 dates, most of them, it was, is this going to happen? Is it not going to happen? So there's a lot of build up too, before we actually did have our first kiss.
Yeah. And I think at the time you were either going light or off your drinking too. Were you not? You were either drinking lighter or you were not drinking at the time.
I think I was not drinking at the time, actually.
Because that has been, I'm almost at 3 years now of no alcohol. And that was something that I did with my dating. I had to relearn some of those. The first step he recommends here is oral hygiene. If you just got done eating some stinky food, then that might not be the time to go for a kiss.
Yeah.
And one thing I thought of was how you always have those Listerine strips. I like the little Listerine pump. It's great to have those with you so that when you're out with your existing girlfriend or girl that you might want to date, have that available so that you can at least do a little something to offset the food.
And even if you don't stink, which a lot of times is, I've said, oh, my breath stinks, whatever. And the girls are like, oh, no, it doesn't. Just for your own self-confidence, just cover your bases. Yeah.
And so that brings us to the next thing that I brought this up to say was be confident.
Yeah.
That being confident, like I always went out of my way to not get even, I would say, buzzed on dates. I would have maybe 2 drinks and then I would stop drinking, switch to club soda or whatever. But even just having 1 drink in me did make going for a kiss easier than having 0 drinks in me. So that was something that I did have to relearn some of these things when I gave up alcohol and was going on dates.
For sure. Yeah.
It
They call it
definitely,
liquid courage for a reason.
exactly. Yeah. It does feel you're a little bit more in your head when you don't have any alcohol in you.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit which is good in some ways because it's easier to know that you're picking up signals that she wants you to kiss her. But it's also easier to tell yourself that you're picking up signals that she doesn't, when in fact, maybe she does. And so I think not drinking is a better way for me. And so I'm going to stick with that. And I'm with my girlfriend now. So this does she want me to kiss her? Does she not want me to kiss her is less of a factor because my girlfriend always wants me to kiss her.
So, right. And one of the tips that is, I think, helpful is he equates kissing to a dance. And so in a way, so you take the lead a little bit, but unlike dancing, you let her lead a little bit as well.
Right.
And it's a give and take. And it's not just you imposing whatever you want and then getting more and more excited and getting more and more aggressive, which can push somebody off a little bit. So remember to take a breath, give some space, right? Just same thing with communication, with relationships, with anything is don't take up all the space. Let there be a little bit of a vacuum,
moving out,
a little bit of a vacuum there, and an opportunity to let the other person express themselves and want and feel that wanting, right? So tease a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
What's your take on asking for a kiss?
No, you do not ask for a kiss.
I agree.
Oh no.
I've done it before, and I can tell it did not have the reaction. That was mostly somebody that I went out with after my divorce, which is 7 years ago now. I did it just because I was feeling uncertain, and she said yes to the question, but I could tell that she would have been happier if I didn't ask.
So here's the thing.
So if things are going well enough, you can recover from asking for a kiss. But if things are borderline and you ask for a kiss, then it could sink your chances.
Simply said, you can still ask for a kiss without using your words.
Exactly. That's
and
what I think, say. And that's after he says read the signals, which obviously you should go slow. And that's what we've talked about before. When you're going in for the first kiss, instead of asking for it, just move confidently but slowly enough that if she needs to give you the cheek or run in the other direction screaming, she has time to do that.
Yeah.
So if you move in slowly, if she wants it, it's going to build anticipation. If she doesn't want it, it's going to give her the opportunity to throw you the cheek or put up a hand or whatever.
Right. Yeah. If she doesn't move, then you keep moving forward. Look at her lips, look at her eyes, and you won't be guessing. It won't be one of those where, oh, I better ask because I'm not sure. If you're not sure, she doesn't want it. I really believe that. And if she does kiss you, it might be out of a sense of obligation or guilt because you asked. Sometimes people ask you to do something you don't really want to do it, but you're like, oh, this person really wants it. I feel bad, kind of thing. That's the last thing you want is somebody to like feel bad, give you a pity kiss.
Yes, agreed. I would say if you start moving into the kiss and she doesn't move away, she doesn't stop you, that means she's open to being kissed by you.
Right.
And how good of a job you do kissing her, they change how good she feels about you kissing her.
You also got to remember is women are so much better at picking up body language than we are.
Right.
So so you don't need to worry about her misinterpreting what you're doing. Like she's going to figure out you're going in for the kiss. You don't need to get her to sign on a dotted line that she understands you are coming in for a kiss at this point. So even if you think you're doing it in a slick, sly way, she's seen this. She's seen the writing on the wall well before you even thought about taking action, I think.
Yeah, then he goes into more of the detail on how to build anticipation, how to actually do the kiss, how to touch her. And again, read the book. It's great. I don't want to go into all the detail. But he does say what you don't want to do is just leave your arms limply at your sides while you're kissing her. You got to touch her in some way.
Don't ever leave your arms limply at their sides, no matter what you're doing.
Unless that's good advice.
Yeah.
Even if you're standing giving a speech, you want to. There's a great episode of 30 Rock where Liz, Tina Fey's character, has Alec Baldwin participate in a sketch on their sketch comedy show, and oh, it'll be fun. You'll be like the executive that we're like fighting against or whatever. He's like, okay, I'll do it. And then he was like trying to figure out what to do, and he couldn't figure out what to do with his hands. So eventually he's holding 2 mugs. That's my favorite long running sitcom of all time. I like it better than Friends, better than Seinfeld, better than anything. It's my favorite long sitcom. Okay. The cheat sheet summary at the end is understand pheromones, but also understand that you do not have control over your pheromone situation. You do have control over your non-pheromone smells, which again, I'm a big fan of. Keep yourself clean at all times. Go less is more with fragrances. I always talk about, I like to limit myself to 1 fragrance at a time. So if I'm wearing a deodorant that has a scent, I'm probably not going to wear an aftershave that has a scent. If I'm wearing a cologne, I'm not going to have a hair treatment that is very smelly. I like to just limit myself to 1 fragrance and stop there.
Mm-hmm.
But the most important thing is smell like a person who's clean and takes care of their body. And then the specifics can be up for grabs. Bad first kiss is a relationship killer. She's going to remember that first kiss. Kissing releases a flood of feel-good hormones, which those can also have some impacts on future decisions that you and her make about whether you stay together, whether you keep dating, things like that. We'll talk about that more in the next episode. And you can learn to be a good kisser. It's just a matter of reading some books and studying on it. Watch some YouTube videos. Just don't assume that even if your last girlfriend loved the way you kiss and talked about it all the time, you may have had some things that worked for her that may not work for the next person. So be aware of the different techniques that are out there and what some girls appreciate and some don't. And just, add that to your toolbox and you'll be better. And the big thing is just always look for those nonverbal reactions. Asking a girl after first kiss, how was that? What did you like? What did you not like? I probably would not do that.
Yeah. In any situation.
Yeah. Minimize the talking about the relationship, especially at the beginning, and just live in the relationship. Look for the signals, verbal and nonverbal, but don't grill people on what did you like? What did you not like? Stuff like that. That's a intimacy and excitement killer.
Yeah. And because you're asking them to be vulnerable at that point too. And they might not be willing, because asking those details, you are revealing a lot of things and information that you might not be willing, or she might not be willing to share at that point.
Yeah.
And so you're literally saying, hey, please be vulnerable with me. And you're almost pulling things out of them or asking for that. And it's an awkward ask. And
I think there is a time to have that conversation, though. There is a time to say, hey, I really love how things have been going. I'm having a lot of fun with you. I'm feeling great. If there's anything that you're into or you would enjoy me changing up, I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah.
And I think there's good times to have that conversation, and there's times that's too early to have that conversation.
Right. You're asking her, all you're doing is communicating that you're open to information. You're not asking for it.
Instead of, hey, I'm a chameleon that will change into whatever you need me to change into, where if you bring up that kind of conversation too early in the process, it could be basically, I don't care about what I like or what I'm into. You just tell me what you're into so I can be that thing. You don't want to give that impression. No. Okay. So let's stop there for this episode. And the next one we're going to, this chapter is called, Is She More Than a Hookup? Reading a Woman's True Profile. So we'll talk about this. It's so easy at the beginning of a relationship when the hormones and the chemicals start going crazy. It's very easy to get overexcited and make some not great decisions for your long-term health and happiness. So we're gonna talk a little bit about what to look for and look out for in deciding where you want things to go with a lady.
And what that has in common with a baby's head.
Yes. I love that. That was great. All right. Thanks very much, Dan. I will talk to you again soon.
See you soon.
Bye. Hey, thanks so much for listening to the entire episode. Dan and I know that you have a lot of choices when it comes to men with microphones sharing opinions, and we're glad that you picked us. Please check out our website, mindfullymasculine.com, for audio episodes, video episodes, and anything else we find worth sharing. Thanks. Take care.